Hello, I'm Ron, and welcome to another episode of PopSicle, where I discuss popular culture, science, and everything in between. This is episode 4.2, the continuation of what I started with Oscar predictions for the 93rd Oscars. In the last video, I had talked about the screenplay categories, and now we'll be talking about the supporting actor and supporting actress categories. Of all the categories in the Oscars, the acting races are my favorite. I love actors and actresses. I think a great performance in a film can make a film much better than it actually is. And so I always look forward to this race. Of course, the greatest heartaches are also in this race. It can be painful when you rally behind a particular actor and then that actor or actress doesn't get a nomination. Like, for example, when Toni Collette gave the year's best performance in Hereditary but did not get a nomination, and probably because it's a horror film. But it's always fun to predict these races based on the trends and the precursors, and that's what we're going to do now for the supporting categories. Let's begin with the supporting actor category. In this category, I'm putting in at number 1, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So we all know what happened recently regarding Chadwick Boseman. Gone too soon, definitely. Very promising actor with very iconic roles, many of which required him to play real-life people. And of course, he's known for Black Panther. This year, he already was seen in The Five Bloods and gave a convincing performance, although not big enough probably to attract Oscar attention. We have to wait until his other movie, which is also on Netflix, which gives it an edge, again, in terms of accessibility, and that's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is also getting a lot of advanced buzz for Viola Davis's potential Oscar-nominated performance. Ma Rainey was a famous blues singer, and this movie is particularly about the mess that goes on between her producer, studio head, and the band. And one of those band members is the trumpeter Levi, played by Chadwick Boseman, who steers trouble. That's according to the plot given online. And so it's probably a juicy role, and will be able to showcase Chadwick Boseman's acting talents, and there's no better time to honor him. Actually, it's going to be a posthumous nomination, maybe even a win, depending on how good it is. So that's number 1, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Very exciting to see his last film. At number 2, and I'm putting it also at a likely, is Tom Burke for Mank. Those of you who like watching indie movies would have probably watched The Souvenir from last year, and that stars Tom Burke, who now plays Orson Welles, none other than Orson Welles, famous Hollywood writer and director. Of course, directed and co-wrote Citizen Kane, which many critics consider to be the best film in history, or at least one of the best. And so, that's all you need to know. First of all, it's a David Fincher film. It's a Netflix movie. It's one of the movies most anticipated by cinephiles for this year. And now you have someone playing Orson Welles. And Orson Welles is, bigger than life. It's a Hollywood-based movie which Oscar voters tend to love. Orson Welles wasn't really an Academy darling in the same sense that, many of the big directors are or were. But still, it's what else can I say? So it's a likely nomination unless the film tanks. If the film is just even remotely good, this is going to be a surefire nomination. Unless he is overshadowed by some other supporting actors in the film, but it's unlikely given the central plot of the film, which is about the writing of Citizen Kane. At number 3, and a maybe, is Frank Langella in The Trial of the Chicago 7. Now, The Trial of the Chicago 7 by Aaron Sorkin is going to be an ensemble piece. It has several actors who are likely to get notice for their performances. You have Sacha Baron Cohen, Eddie Redmayne, Jeremy Strong, and of course Frank Langella. What makes Frank Langella stand out is that he's the judge who presided over the case of the Chicago 7. And he was a very abrasive judge, which the Chicago 7 loved to tease and loved to mock. And he was a very controversial figure, and we know how well Frank Langella does roles like those. So it's very exciting to see what he's going to do with it. If the film proves to be as large as people think it's going to be, I think it's safe to assume that Frank Langella is going to get in over the actors that played the Chicago 7. Numbers 4 and 5 are possibles, meaning I'm not so sure about their being nominated, but of course they're distinct possibilities. And at number 4, I put Bill Murray from On the Rocks. In On the Rocks, which is a reunion between Bill Murray and his Lost in Translation director Sofia Coppola, he plays a larger-than-life playboy who reunites with his strange daughter, played by Rashida Jones. Trailer's quite interesting, shows a good dynamic between the two. Both are excellent actors, of course, and we all know Bill Murray can always deliver. And Bill Murray's lone Oscar nomination is courtesy of Sofia Coppola, so he's in good hands. And the film itself, while probably not a strong Best Picture contender, is a contender for other categories, particularly writing. If it proves to be really, really good, maybe it's we're looking at the second Best Director nomination for Sofia Coppola. Probably not though. Probably the closest that we can get to Oscar glory for this film is in the writing and probably the acting by Bill Murray. There are, however, big threats down the line, and these are primarily from the actors of the Trial of the Chicago 7. Let's see how Bill Murray's performance holds up against the competition. So speaking of the actors of the Trial of the Chicago 7, I'm putting in at number 5 Yahya Abdul-Mateen II for his role in that film. So in the film, Yahya Abdul-Mateen plays Bobby Seale, who was one of the Chicago 8 before he was cast out by the judge for unruly behavior. So it's a prime juicy role, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen has gotten notices for his performance in other projects like The Watchmen. So we're probably looking at the first nomination for this actor, especially if his role proves to be larger than the others in the film. Here you see numbers 6 to 10, and at number 6 is another actor from the Trial of the Chicago 7. Aside from Abby Hoffman, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, Jeremy Rubin was one of the other prominent figures in that group. So Jeremy Strong, who's been getting a lot of notices for his TV performances, might get in and might be the main threat to Yahya Abdul-Mateen for the 5th slot. Forrest Whitaker can be a contender for playing the father of Aretha Franklin in Respect. I'm really excited about what Tahar Rahim will do with his role in Prisoner 760 as the eponymous prisoner held in custody at Guantanamo without being charged. So that could be a very dramatic role. I wish we were sure about the release date of The Eyes of Tammy Faye, because if we were, Vincent D'Onofrio would probably be higher up on my list, given that he plays Jerry Falwell, a controversial Southern Baptist pastor and televangelist. And then at number 10, we're not sure about how big David Strathairn's role is in Nomadland, but Nomadland is a primary contender for Best Picture, so it would be unwise to rule him out. The Best Supporting Actress category is probably one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting category this year, and that's because of the top 3 females who are vying for the win. Their first win, incidentally. These top 3 are largely considered to be all overdue an Oscar. Collectively, the 3 of them have 17 nominations, but no win. And of course, at number 1 among those 3 is Glenn Close. Glenn Close is vying for her 8th nomination and first win in the movie Hillbilly Elegy, which is based on the memoirs of author J.D. Vance. She plays the grandmother of the author, and it could be a rich, very entertaining role, given the significance of the grandmother in the in the upbringing of the author. And so all eyes are on Glenn Close and whether or not this is the film that will actually bring her her first ever career win. We all know what happened 2 years ago uh, when she was widely expected to win Best Actress, but then Olivia Colman took it from under her. Uh, well, her biggest competition in this race are two other overdue actresses, one of whom is a co-star in Hillbilly Elegy, and that is none other than Amy Adams. Amy Adams' record comes close to that of Glenn Close. She's had 6 nominations without a win, and in this movie, she plays the mother of J.D. Vance, who happens to be a drug addict. Well, from that alone, we can tell that it's bound to be a juicy role, and along with The Woman in the Window, her other movie that could be released in 2020, might not be, we're looking at 2 possibilities for Amy Adams to get her first Oscar win. This one is much more likely, given that Hillbilly Elegy is also a strong contender for the top awards, including Best Picture. Of course, the internal competition is significant. It's going to be that between her and Glenn Close, and it's going to be a question of who between the two Academy voters think is more overdue. But of course, it will also depend on the size of the role and the quality of the role. And we'll have to see what the precursors say, who gets the edge. There is, of course, also the possibility of them splitting categories. We don't really know how big the roles of either one will be in the film. If you just base it on the memoirs, then both are going to be supporting players. But then, based on strategy, they might split it up and make Amy Adams a lead actress, or the other way around. If both of them stay in the supporting actress category, both of them will likely get nominations. The potential spoiler for either one of them is another overdue actress with 4 Oscar nominations, and this is Saoirse Ronan. In Ammonite, Kate Winslet plays fossil hunter Mary Anning, and she strikes a friendship which goes beyond just friendship with Charlotte Murchison, played by Saoirse Ronan. Now, this is one of those roles that could be an example of category fraud if it's put in the supporting actress category. I mean, we're not sure. We don't know. It hasn't been seen yet. But there's a pretty strong chance that it's going to be a case of that, because it's going to be a 2-lead film, both of them playing lead characters, but then one will be bumped down to supporting, and it's bound to be Saoirse Ronan instead of Kate Winslet. It's a sumptuous looking film, a costume piece. It invokes memories of The Portrait of a Lady on Fire from last year, which was a brilliant film, and it's directed by Francis Lee, who has very good reputation among cinephiles. So it's bound to be a major player in the races, even in Best Picture and Best Screenplay also. In terms of the acting, Kate Winslet is probably a surefire nominee. We're not sure if Saoirse Ronan will go supporting or lead. If she does go supporting, it's almost sure that she will get nominated as long as the film is good, which it hopefully will be. If she goes lead, then it's going to be harder because that category is very stacked right now. So we're looking at 3 overdue actresses potentially winning their first Oscar, but who are the 4th and the 5th who might potentially spoil this chance? At number 4 is a recent Oscar winner for Best Actress, the one who spoiled Glenn Close's closest chance of getting an Oscar win finally, and that's Olivia Colman for the film The Father. Unlike the 2 other aforementioned movies, The Father has been seen, particularly at Sundance, and to glowing reviews. Critics loved it. Particularly, they loved the performance of Anthony Hopkins, but they also had very good words for the performance of Olivia Colman. And we know how great she is in whatever she does, whether in television or film. And, she won 2 years ago, but that's not too recent for at least a nomination. A win is unlikely given who she's contending against, those three overdue actresses, but a nomination is probably in the bag unless she goes in the lead category, which, some people say she will. But we're not sure. I haven't seen the movie. But I think that she'd be put in the supporting actress category given how much bigger the role of Anthony Hopkins is and how central it is. And coming in at number 5 is someone who as opposed to the other 4, has never been nominated, and this is Amanda Seyfried for the movie Mank. We've already said a lot about Mank and its chances of getting major Oscar nominations, and that's because it's directed by David Fincher, and it's a Hollywood-based film, it's black and white, and it's about the writing of Citizen Kane. Amanda Seyfried might get carried by or swept by all of that love for the film. In this film, Amanda Seyfried plays Marion Davies, an actress and philanthropist who was also known to be the mistress of William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper tycoon. And so there's a lot to play around with in that role. And in Citizen Kane, famously, one of the roles is said to be based on Marion Davies, although Orson Welles has always denied it. So it will be very interesting to see how a capable actress like Amanda Seyfried will play this role and what she'll do with it. And if the film is well received and the role is prominent enough, we're most likely looking at a first nomination for Amanda Seyfried, who has paid her dues with really good performances in good films also. Here you see numbers 6 to 10. I'm putting Rita Moreno at number 6 for her role in West Side Story. We all know, of course, that she won an Oscar for her role in the original movie musical. Here she plays Valentina, a reimagined Doc, who's the owner of the local drugstore or soda shop. If the role is big, if Steven Spielberg is able to highlight her in some good way, then she might get swept by the sentiment for her and get another nomination at least. But that's really going to be dependent on how big the film opens and how well received it is. At number 7, I'm putting in another actress who's playing a Hollywood icon. This one, Natasha Lyonne, is playing Tallulah Bankhead in the United States versus Billie Holiday. We don't know how big the role is, although Tallulah Bankhead was a very exciting, controversial Hollywood character who has had various liaisons with Hollywood actors and actresses. It is said that she had a romantic relationship or a tryst with Billie Holiday. So it would be interesting to see what's going to go on in that film, the interaction between Tallulah Bankhead and Billie Holiday. Might make for a very interesting performance. At number 8, you have Rebecca Ferguson playing Lady Jessica in Dune. The director Denis Villeneuve has gone on record to say that he has greatly expanded the role of Rebecca Ferguson in Dune so that she's not just an expensive extra. In the book, the role is quite interesting. So if it's expanded even just a bit, then we might be looking at a great role, and we all know how good an actress Rebecca Ferguson is. In my video on the best screenplay categories, I had mentioned that we should probably look out for Kaimana in Next Goal Win, so I'm putting her at number 9. And at number 10, we have Audra McDonald, who's playing Aretha Franklin's mother in Respect. She's a respected theater actress. Hopefully, she has a meaty role in this film, and hopefully it's a good film so that we can see a potential first nomination for McDonald. At the fringe of this top 10, just outside, is Abigail Breslin for Stillwater. The only reason why I'm not putting her in my top 10 is because I'm not sure if it's going to be released on time. But if it is, look out for her being in the top 10 because it's a meaty role. In fact, it might be bumped up to Best Actress. So those are my predictions for the Best Supporting Actor and Actress categories. In my next video, we'll be talking about Best Actor and Best Actress. If you liked what you saw here and you'd like to see more, please don't forget to subscribe. See you again soon!